Pac-12, Big 12, they're in the headlines. There's a bit of a war going on right now. You know, last week, Colorado defected. Finally signed off on Thursday night. They're going back to the Big 12. The big question is, what is the fallout? Colorado's president said the reason they made the decision late last Thursday night was they could not get answers from the Pac-12 about the new media contract. They couldn't get definition where the games would be placed, who are these three partners you're negotiating with. They could not get designation. What is the dollar value to each of the schools who signed the deed of rights over to you? He said, because we could not get those answers, we talked to the Big 12 and we got the answers. And the Big 12 said, you come, we'll guarantee you $37 million the first year. So that's the reason the Pac-12 just was not ready to give up the data, because maybe they didn't have the final data. That being said, and I brought this up last week, apologies to anybody who's a fan of the Buffaloes in Boulder. I don't know what the hell Colorado brings to the Big 12. Colorado's 27-76 in the last 11 years since they went to the Pac-10 or Pac-12. Terrible. Now, granted, you're bringing a guy with a cowboy hat. I do understand that, Coach Prime and all that. But what else are you bringing? Dion went public this morning, though, with the opening of their camp in Boulder. And he said going to the Big 12 is going to help us recruit Texas and Florida, because they evidently weren't getting in a lot of front doors, even with Dion wearing a cowboy hat. Now they will, supposedly, in the Big 12. But, you know, for all the fans in Boulder and all the Colorado transplants that live out here, it's not the same Big 12. There is no Nebraska. There is no Oklahoma. There is no Texas.
Or Texas A&M.
Yeah, the rivalries have gone away. You know, unless you're going to get amped up by playing Cincinnati, Brigham Young, Central Florida. Those are your new rivals at Colorado. Come on now. So I question all that. Now the burning question, the commissioner over the weekend of the Big 12 said, we got 13 with CU coming in. We're going to go 14. Now, who are you going to go get? I think, you know, who is the 14th school that you might want to add? Unless they make a raid in the middle of the night and they go back into Texas and they get SMU. Dallas TV market. You know, SMU would be hooked up emotionally to Houston and the Oklahoma schools and all that. Maybe that's the one that they're going to offer. The Pac-12, I thought more about this. Boy, did they miss the boat. 5 years ago, when the Big 12 was in huge trouble, the Pac-12 had a chance to go after Texas, Oklahoma, Baylor, TCU, and Texas Tech. They could have been the first one to start the mega conference, and they didn't do it. Presidents, and I guess the commissioner, Larry Scott, did not want to reach out that far. But, I mean, think of where the Pac-12 would be viewed right now if they had taken those schools that were available. But Texas, Oklahoma pulled a power play and said, no, we just don't want your average TV share. We want to be able to keep our own TV networks in place and make that money on the side, not share it with you. And that offended a whole bunch of people. So the Pac-12 kind of missed this thing. Pac-12 still is not revealed. You know, they're talking to Comcast about a streaming package. They're talking to the CW again. CW, by the way, just bought the rights to NASCAR's Infinity Series, which is their Saturday racing series. CW's just gotten that. So you and I have been talking about CW jumping into the sports venue. So we'll see if Disney is part of this, if there's some subsidiary with ABC, ESPN. But now it looks like there's 4 networks there. And what does the Pac-12 do? They sit there and watch the Big 12 take SMU? Should the Pac-12 offer SMU right now for 2024? Should they then offer San Diego State for 2025 once the Mountain West thing is over, their contract there? Or do they just sit and wait and see if there's fallout? And one other wild card, since I'm overloading you with data, what does it do to the Pac-12 credibility if they just turn around when they go to 9 and they just turn around and raid the Mountain West and they take the Aztecs, they take Boise, they take Fresno, and they add SMU? Does that water them down or does that make them stronger? So, John, I dumped a lot on you. I'll just ask you specifically, What the hell does Colorado bring to the Big 12 aside from Neon Dion's cowboy hat?
Yeah, well, their basketball program doesn't do anything. I mean, I can't recall the last time they were any good. So yeah, it's not a lot. I think people are giving them props mostly because they used to be in the Big 8, the Big 12, and so maybe they feel like it's just kind of coming home. But you're right, there isn't a whole lot that they offer. Plus, they're on the other side of the Rocky Mountains, so I don't really give it much. It's not that big of a deal, but from the Pac-12 perspective, they went from the Pac-12 to the Pac-10. Now they're Pac-9. Are they going to be the Pac-8, 7, 6? I mean, what's happening here, Lee?
I don't think the other ones. I don't think the Oregons, Washingtons, or the corner schools will defect. I don't think they should defect. Okay, so where does the Big 12 go to add a 14th school? Is it SMU? Just go take the Dallas TV markets?
Well, I think maybe because with TCU is in Fort Worth, right?
Right.
And so that way you can kind of have two teams in that marketplace. That's a good idea. But who else would you get? I'm trying to think of who's in that turf.
There isn't anybody.
You're right. I mean, unless you go to UTEP or something like that. I mean, there's really nothing else out there, is there?
No, not at all.
Maybe Rice, but does Rice even have a football program? I have no idea.
Yeah, but they've been downtrodden for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's where with the Big 12. Pac-12, give me a response. What do? Do they offer one? Do they offer two? Do they raid the Mountain West? What does that do to their credibility to suck all these Mountain West teams into what used to be the Pac-10, Pac-12?
Well, geographically and maybe TV market-wise, it would be great for the Pac-12 to get Vegas, to get San Diego, maybe Reno, they're in Fresno, maybe. But the thing is that almost all of those schools, except San Diego State, were never of the academic credentials that the Pac-12 was so proud of being. Here you would be kind of weird to have Fresno State facing off against Stanford. I mean, that would be like, two totally different demographic profiles on the field.
Yeah. I don't know where this is going to go. This is so much up in the air, so much upside down. But now if the Pac-12 has to be worried. If the Big 12 is saying, we're going to go get a 14th right now, that to me has to be SMU. So that goes away for the Pac-12 in terms of TV sets.
Mm-hmm.
So it leaves you San Diego State, or are they just better to stay at 9 and just see what happens with the fallout?
Well, how about Tulsa? That might be an approach, right?
Tulsa's like Fresno State.
Yeah. Okay.
People in Norman, Oklahoma, people in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Tulsa, and I say, who?
Who?
Where? Why?
Yeah.
So why would Tulsa add anything to anywhere?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else is out there. Creighton, but that's just basketball only. I mean, we're just really reaching here.
That's where we are.